I have great news about food stamps. The Hot Food Act, which is a bipartisan legislation that will allow food stamps to be used to buy hot food at grocery store. It's making its way through Congress. I reported on this last week. I have a critical update about this, so I'm going to provide that to you soon. And then there is a talk of government shutdown that is looming in Washington. What is that going to mean for your food stamps and your Social Security benefits? I am going to update you on that. And finally, there is a new PEBT program that is starting this year in 2024. I have updates on the final list of states that have been approved to issue the summer EBT this year. So there are other news that I want to bring to your attention. There's extra food stamps for 2024. As we mentioned, I have an update for Washington, D.C. And then there's emergency delays. A lot of people are experiencing delays in food stamps. So we have updates on what is happening, why so many states are experiencing delays in receiving their food stamps. And then finally, Texas passed a law that is going to allow 65,000 and more Texans to be eligible for food stamps. And Louisiana also passed a similar law. So let's get to the details of what I have to cover today. First, I want to start with the Hot Food Act, which I think is the biggest change to food stamps that's going to happen. If this thing passes, and there's very high chance that it will, it's going to change food stamps forever in a good way. So what is this about? Well, we have an update that the hot food that is being considered as part of the Farm Bill. The Farm Bill happens every 5 years. It is the legislation that authorizes all the nutrition programs, food stamps, WIC, school lunches, and it's negotiated, or Congress has to reauthorize it every 5 years. Well, it was up in 2023, but just like everything that happens these days in Congress, they didn't get the job done. So they are going for it again in the first quarter of 2024. So negotiations are happening right now. But the big story here is that they're trying to include the Hot Food Act, which I think is going to be a game changer for food stamps. So what is the Hot Food Act? Well, it was started by Colorado Senator Michael Bennet to allow low-income, disabled, and elderly SNAP recipients to purchase prepared food with their EBT cards. This change will allow all SNAP recipients to use their benefits to purchase cold prepared food, heated food, and hot meals at eligible grocery stores. Now, why is this different? Because this is a bipartisan, bicameral legislation. It means there are Congress people and senators on both sides of the aisle in both houses and the Senate who are backing this legislation. So far, there are 100 sponsors of this, and they are pushing to include it in the Farm Bill. If the Hot Food Acts get passed in the new Farm Bill, over 41 million people, recipients of food stamps, who have access to purchase hot food and prepared food such as rotisserie chicken with their food stamps benefit. So let me give you details of what this looks like. So as I mentioned, this is a bicameral, bipartisan legislation, and one of the leading advocates for this, Congresswoman Grace Meng from New York, issued a press release and highlighted a few of the co-sponsors that are part of this legislation. So I want to just give you an idea of what they are saying in their own words so that you understand how exciting this is. They're thinking about this and why I feel like there's a good chance that this is going to pass under the Farm Bill. So here's what Congresswoman Meng has to say. Families throughout America rely on SNAP benefits to make sure they have enough food for their children. Restricting a working mom by allowing her to buy a frozen rotisserie chicken but not a hot prepared one is nonsensical and wrong. The Hot Food Act simply removes the prohibition from purchasing hot food in SNAP. This reform will provide recipients the flexibility they need to provide the most nutritious meal to their family. I look forward to streamlining this program for the more than millions of SNAP recipients in the United States. And then another sponsor, Representative Fitzpatrick, has this to say. Millions in the United States rely on SNAP to supplement their purchase of healthy and nutritious food, and those families deserve greater flexibility with how they are able to utilize their benefits. And another Representative Garbarino, has this to say. Right now, a working mom struggling to feed her family is permitted to purchase a cold sandwich for her kids using SNAP benefits, but prohibited from buying soup or rotisserie chicken to ensure they get a good hot meal. And then Representative Spanberger of Virginia has this to say: right now, working Virginians can't use SNAP to buy warm chicken or prepared soup from a grocery store. That means a single parent on their way home from work can't swing by the store and pick up a rotisserie chicken using SNAP dollars. And talking about Representative Spanberger, she released her own statement which says Spanberger leads, now 102-member bipartisan bicameral effort for SNAP to allow hot food purchases. And he said the Congresswoman, U.S. Representative Abigail Spanberger, helped lead more than 100 colleagues in a bipartisan bicameral effort calling on the U.S. House and the Senate Agriculture Committee to include the legislation in the 2023 Farm Bill to allow SNAP recipients to purchase hot food through the program. There are some powerful organizations that are also backing this legislation. I want to read you some excerpts from what they had to say. The president of the First Focus Campaign for Children has this to say: children deserve access to nutritious food without unnecessary stipulations or arbitrary barriers. Allowing SNAP recipients to purchase hot foods allows parents who may be working multiple jobs or experiencing housing insecurity to still provide hot and nutritious meals that their children need. Then we have the statement from Feeding America, which is one of the largest food banks in the country. Feeding America supports the Hot Food Act, which will give people the option to use their SNAP benefits to purchase hot and prepared food. This important change would provide additional flexibility for families, seniors, and people with disabilities to choose the foods at the grocery store that best meet their dietary needs. And then finally, the CEO of City Harvest, which is an organization in New York City, has this to say: regardless of income, all families should be allowed to use their grocery budget to access the food they need and want in a desirable and usable form. With so many families struggling to find time to prepare meals or to navigate limited kitchen space, the Hot Food Act will help more of our New York City neighbors put dinner on their tables and will make food assistance more equitable. So, as you may know, this is a big deal because currently you can only use your food stamps to buy fruits and vegetables, meat, poultry and fish, dairy products, breads and cereals, and other foods such as snacks and non-alcoholic beverages. You can buy snacks, you can buy non-alcoholic beverages, but you cannot buy foods that are hot at the point of sale. That is the current rule. Among other things that you cannot buy with food stamps, the sticking point is foods that are hot at the point of sale. Now, there is a program, a limited program that allows some of this to happen. It's called the Restaurant Meals Program. This has been a program that has been around forever, since the 1970s. And states had to opt in to run this program. And the Restaurant Meals Program is aimed at helping seniors that are over 60, homeless people, and people with disability. Basically, people who have restrictions or difficulty preparing their own foods, to be able to use their SNAP EBT benefits to buy hot food at specific restaurants. Well, it's been around forever, but only a few states have opted to run the program. So Arizona, Maryland, New York, Illinois, Michigan, Virginia, California, Massachusetts, Rhode Island have opted in. And actually, a lot of these states, for example, Maryland, New York, Massachusetts, Illinois, Michigan, Virginia, only started running this program just within the last few years. And as you can see, in some states like Rhode Island and Illinois, they're only specific in certain counties. So that doesn't solve the problem that the Hot Food Act is trying to solve, which is allowing everybody that uses food stamps to be able to buy hot food at grocery stores versus the Restaurant Meals Program, which is limited to specific restaurant. But if your state offers the Restaurant Meal Program, you can still sign up. So if you're age 60 or older, if you have a disability or you're homeless, and your spouse can all sign up and be part of this program. So, as I mentioned, Senator Michael Bennet is heading this effort, and this is what he had to say. Of the more than 42 million SNAP recipients, almost 70% of participants are children, elderly, and those with disabilities. The ability to purchase hot food or hot foods ready for immediate consumption will provide enormous flexibility to those who rely on this program to supplement their nutrition and dietary needs. Too many individuals and families who struggle to make ends meet miss out on the nutrition they need because they lack access to a kitchen or because they have difficulty preparing their own meals. The Hot Foods Act will go a long way in closing the gap by allowing SNAP households to conveniently purchase hot prepared foods at grocery stores. So, as I mentioned, the push is to include it in the Farm Bill so that it will stick, because the Farm Bill has to reauthorize every 5 years. So everything that is included in that is pretty much good for those 5 years. And so that's why they're trying to put it in this bill. And as I said, it's coming up for Congress to do something about it. And we anticipate that in the first quarter, by March 2024, we will have an update. So what do you think about the Hot Food Act? Is this something that you're excited about? We want to hear from you, because how is this going to change the way you use food stamps? Is it going to be helpful to you? Are you struggling preparing food? And is this going to be a game changer for you? We want to hear your comments below. So if you like what you hear so far, I want to invite you to hit the like button. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe, because it will help our channel grow. And if you hit the like button, it means that this video will be shown to more people. So we really appreciate your support. So now let's talk about the government shutdown. I mean, I think we go through this a few times a year. They will bring everybody to the edge, and then sometimes they'll shut it down. But the point is that this has been something we've been seeing over and over again. But there are people that it has real consequences for. So what does this mean for Social Security, disability, food stamps, WIC, TAMF, and all these benefit programs that are impacted? So let's see what we have been able to come up with from our research on this topic. So we've talked of a looming potential government shutdown. Millions of Americans, especially senior citizens, are wondering if they will continue to get their Social Security check if lawmakers fail to reach an agreement at the critical deadline. According to experts, Social Security checks will not be interrupted if the government shuts down. Congressional leaders have reached agreements on top-line spending figures for the current fiscal year to fund the government, but additional steps are needed to avoid a shutdown. The funding for several federal agencies are set to expire on January 19th, with others running out by February the 2nd. Despite the potential government shutdown, Social Security payments, which are mandatory spending and sourced from the trust fund, will continue to be made. Bipartisan Policy Center Chief Economist Jason Fitchner and Max Richman, President and CEO of the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, both confirmed that Social Security checks will continue even during the government shutdown. U.S. Representative Jerry Nadler of New York also expressed the issue in September 2023, assuring recipients that they will continue to receive their Social Security and SSI checks in the event of a government shutdown. So when I mean Social Security, it also includes SSDI. Since I was mentioning SSI, I don't want people who are on SSDI to feel excluded. Now, how about other benefits? How about food stamps? How about WIC? Well, here's what we found out. Like Social Security payments, Medicare and Medicaid healthcare benefits are also protected from federal shortfalls if the government shut down. However, SNAP and WIC, which is the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children benefits, can continue if and only if the funding, the shutdown is not over an extended period of time. So if the government shuts down and it drags on for a long time, then food stamps and WIC are in trouble. Especially with WIC, which is operating on a very tight budget. WIC may be the most vulnerable of all the programs. And it's really bizarre because the program that is specifically for women, infants, and children is a program that is going to be severely impacted if the shutdown is prolonged or extended, which doesn't make sense. Shouldn't that be the program that is the most secure? Well, but that's my opinion. So what about student loans? During the government shutdown, student loan borrowers may face challenges as the Department of Education could temporarily lay off employees. The DOE contingency plan in 2021 outlined that employees will be phased out in only as necessary to prevent significant damage, with a maximum of 11% of the total staff called back. So if you're on student loans, pay attention because operation related to grants, including the review of grants applications and awarding of grants fund, may come to a halt. So that's the Department of Education. However, Department of Education programs with mandatory funding such as the Pell Grant and the federal direct student loan programs can still make payments during the shutdown for a limited time as long as the funds are available. And with fewer federal employees available, borrowers may experience difficulty in seeking assistance or resolving issues related to their student loans. So, as I mentioned, we're here again. So I want to hear your feedback. We keep every few months, I think there's a threat of a shutdown because lawmakers cannot just get together and come to some form of agreement to keep the government running. And this is not trying to be political. It's more of the people that are most vulnerable: Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, WIC, TANF, all these other programs that people rely on for a living should not be subject to these political games. So I want to hear from you about the shutdown in the comment section below. Now let's talk about the extra food stamps of 2024. I have updated you on this in previous, updates that I recorded recently, but I have an important update about Washington, D.C. So last week I told you that D.C. and New Jersey have been approved. So this is the extra food stamp thing. Let's step back a moment. It was something that was happening during the pandemic. It happened for maybe over 2 years where you were getting extra food stamps every month. That ended last year, and it was devastating for a lot of families because of inflation. Inflation went up and stayed up for a lot of people. Food prices have stayed up, and taking that extra food stamp back really affected a lot of people. So states have started looking at creating their own extra food stamps programs to help people in those specific states. So this is a buzz that's going around, and a lot of states are looking at it. Well, the first two states, well, not a state, but New Jersey approved it, and then Washington, D.C. also approved it. So those are the places that have approved it right now, and we're continuing to monitor the situation. And before it was supposed to start, Washington, D.C., the mayor decided that she wasn't going to do it. So the states approved at New Jersey and Washington so far. This means that if you're in the District of Columbia, New Jersey, your state-funded extra food stamps will be included in your card. And last week we reported that D.C. is at risk of not issuing the extra food stamps. However, today we have some great news to report. The D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has decided to fund an increase in SNAP benefits as confirmed by the director of the D.C. Human Services and Legal Aid D.C. Because remember, they were threatening to sue her because the D.C. Council had approved the funds. It was supposed to start in January, and then she decided she wasn't going to do it. She was going to allocate the funds for something else. So the DHS director, Laura Zellinger, stated that despite budget shortfalls and workload pressure, the agency will move forward with implementing the temporary SNAP increase. Legal Aid had planned to file a lawsuit over the withholding of $39 million in food assistance from over 140,000 low-income district residents. So that's a big chunk of money that was supposed to boost food stamps for people in D.C. The D.C. Council had allocated the funds to boost SNAP benefits from January to September 2024. The decision to proceed with the SNAP increase is seen as a victory for thousands of families, children, seniors, and people with disabilities in D.C. who depend on SNAP. The Center for Budget and Policy Priorities reported that 1 in 5 residents use SNAP in D.C. with an estimated average benefit of $188 a month. And as I mentioned, New Jersey is good to go. If you live in New Jersey, you should expect a minimum of $95 of monthly SNAP benefits, which is a big deal because the federal minimum is $23. And a lot of seniors who watch our content have been complaining that you've been receiving $23 and you're wondering how can you increase your benefits. I recorded a whole video giving you 5 tips on how you can boost your food stamps, so you should check that out. But if you live in New Jersey, there's good news. You're going to get at least $95 a month if your benefit is lower than that. And that has started and should run for the most part of the year. So what do you think about extra food stamps? Do you want your state to do it? And what happened when they took it away? How did that affect your food stamps, your spending habits, your nutrition, how you're able to provide food for yourself and your family? We want to hear from you in the comment section. Now let's talk about delayed benefits. Thousands of people receiving emergency food stamps in New York City have been delayed. So let's give you an update on this. This is a big story because it's affecting a lot of people. New York City has reportedly failed to process thousands of expedited food stamp applications within the legally required 7-day time frame, leaving vulnerable residents without consistent access to meals. This, according to the Daily News. Watchdog groups led by the Legal Aid Society. Legal aid folks are always on the case. They are always picking up the slack. Are calling for Mayor Adams' administration to be held in contempt of the 2005 court order that mandates the city to process applications for expedited SNAP assistance within 7 days. Well, that is not happening. The delays have impacted some of the city's poorest residents, forcing them to rely on food pantries and face challenges in accessing food for weeks or even months. The watchdog groups are seeking swift remediation, including potential fines for the administration if the issue is not resolved promptly. The processing delays are attributed to staffing shortages and resignations at the HRA, which is the Human Resources Agency overseeing New York City's public assistance programs. Now, New York City eSNAP applicants could get $500 for delayed processing. The HRA has acknowledged its failure to comply with the 7-day rule, citing significant staff resignations and retirements leading to a depletion of its workforce to handle eSNAP applications. Legal aid and other groups are urging the court to order a corrective action plan to speed up processing and bring the city into compliance within 90 days. If the city fails to comply, the group proposes restitution, potentially up to $500 for each eSNAP applicant who claims were not processed on time. So if you're in New York City and you have an eSNAP application and you are waiting for your money, this is a story you need to pay attention to, because you could be getting $500 for the frustration and what you had to deal with in waiting for your SNAP benefits, the eSNAP, because the city was not doing what it was supposed to do. Now, the HRA is also accused of violating rules around reporting timelines for eSNAP application. The September report provided by the agency reveals severe processing delays, prompting the watchdog groups to call for court intervention. Additionally, the Adams administration is facing challenges in processing applications for regular SNAP and cash assistance within the legally required 30-day window, with the Manhattan Federal Court setting a deadline for March 31st, 2024 for the administration to develop a plan to address the issue. So this is a big deal. If you live in New York City, have you been impacted by this? If you're applying for food stamps in New York or renewing your benefits, have you been impacted by all these delays? And if you've applied for eSNAP, emergency food stamps in New York City, and this has affected you, I want to hear from you in the comments section below. So let's talk about summer EBT, the brand new PEBT program that has been approved. This is exciting news. As you remember, or may remember, there was summer PEBT that happened during the pandemic. It was a temporary program, and it worked out so well that it's now been approved as a permanent program. It's here to stay, and states were supposed to apply to be approved to run the program starting in 2024. Majority of the states have been approved, have applied and were approved. There are some states that refused to apply. They did not want to take the money. So I'm going to give you an update on which states have been approved and whether your state is on that list, how much to expect, when benefits will be distributed, and all the details you need to know about eligibility for this exciting new program. So the Summer EBT is a new permanent program launching in summer 2024 by the United States Department of Agriculture. It is modeled after the temporary Summer EBT program launched during the pandemic. It is going to be called the Summer Electronic Benefit Transfer for Children program. That's the official name. Is to reduce child hunger and improve the diet quality of school-age children during the summer months. The program will provide families with low-income children more resources to use at food stores during the summer. These benefits work together with other programs. So if you are on other summer programs like the meal sites, if you're on SNAP, if you're on WIC, if your state runs its own nutrition summer program, this is on top of that. So this is going to be additional. And more than 29 million children across the United States will benefit from this summer EBT program. It will come in form of preloaded cards. So you're going to get a special EBT card. Well, it's going to depend on what your state decides to do. But the idea is that you're going to get a preloaded EBT card that you can use to purchase grocery. If your family is already on SNAP and your child is eligible for this summer EBT program, then your current food stamps card is what they may just load the money onto. We'll see. We'll give you an update when we hear more about this. But here's the thing. Beginning summer 2024, families will receive $40 per child per month. Now, as I said, this is money that the government is giving. The federal government is giving to states to run this program because it works so well and it really, really helped a lot of children. As I said, 29 million children. Some states have decided they don't want any part of it. So I'm going to give you the list of the 5 or 6 states that are not approving or not applying for this. Georgia, Governor Brian Kemp's office announced that the state will not participate in a federal summer food assistance program for children. Kemp's spokesperson, Garrison Douglas, stated that the federal COVID-era program lacks basic nutrition requirements and sustainability, and it will not align with the goal of improving the health and wellness of children in Georgia. I absolutely do not understand what he's saying and what he means by that. The state chose not to participate in the proposed EBT program and instead highlighted the success of its own Seamless Summer program administered by the state's Department of Education. The Seamless Summer program provided millions of breakfasts and lunches in 2023 with a focus on reaching families in rural areas. So how about families in urban areas? Anyway, the Seamless program provided millions of breakfasts and lunches in 2023 with a focus on reaching millions of families in the rural areas. Georgia also emphasized the effectiveness of its Happy Helping program, part of the Summer Food Service program, which reimburses organizations serving free, healthy meals and snacks to children and teens in low-income areas when schools are not in session. In summer 2023, 2.8 million meals were served through the Happy Helpings at 997 feeding sites across the state. The Department of Early Care and Learning offered state-funded startup grants in 2022 and 2023 to organizations willing to establish feeding sites in underserved areas, further increasing the availability of free meals and snacks to children. So basically, all Georgia is saying is that we don't need your federal money. We have our own state programs that we think are working well. We don't need your money. That's what Georgia is saying. Texas is also turning it down. Texas has rejected millions of dollars in federal fund from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's summer EBT program, which would have provided nutrition assistance to 1.2 million children during the summer months. Texas officials cited challenges in administering the program, including resource constraints, the need for new appropriations from the legislature, which is a code word for basically when the federal government is sending you money to run these programs, the state has to pay for administering the program. So you're going to get 100 times the money for the one portion that you have to spend of your own state money to run the program. So that's what Texas is saying. And the absence of final guidance until 3 days before the deadline. So Texas is saying they didn't understand the full program details before they had to apply, and that's why they didn't apply. However, 1 in 8 people in Texas, including 1 in 5 children, is at risk of hunger, and the summer EBT program aims to address nutritional gaps when school meals are not available. Feeding Texas attributes the state's inability to adopt the program to long-standing issues with the Texas HHSC, such as staffing shortages and backlogs in administrating other assistance program. Another state that rejected the money is Iowa. Iowa has decided not to participate in the 2024 summer EBT program for children. a federal initiative providing $40 a month to low-income families during the summer. Iowa officials argue that the federal program benefits are not sustainable and fail to address long-term issues. I have no idea what they mean by that. Governor Kim Reynolds suggests investing in existing state-level programs for real commitment to family well-being. So similarly, Iowa is saying that they have programs in the state that they trust and they don't need the federal money. However, Democratic Senator Isa Knox criticizes the decision, stating that it will adversely affect hungry Iowa children. Nebraska is another state. Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen's administration has decided not to participate in the new National Nutrition Program. The program authorized by the Consolidated Appropriations Act, which I told you, this is something Congress passed. It's a new law, could have provided $18 million in grocery benefits to Nebraska kids during the summer months. The decision has drawn criticism from groups like Nebraska Appleseed and food banks. Food banks are the people who bear the brunt when politicians make decisions like this. People then have to rely on food banks, who argue that opting into the program would have been a wise financial and moral choice. The summer EBT program would have provided $120 during the summer. Advocates argue that the $300,000 that the state would have used to run the program is a small investment compared to the $18 million that the federal government would have sent them if they had made the decision to run the program. A group of 15 state senators have sent a letter to the Department of Health and Human Services urging for a reconsideration, emphasizing the importance of addressing hunger among Nebraskans. The USDA estimates that obviously 29 million children could have benefited from the program. Oklahoma is the other state. Despite 1 in 5 Oklahoma children living with food insecurity, the state won't participate in the new federal summer EBT program. Governor Kevin Stitt's office cited uncertainty about how the government will administer the program. Chris Bernard, president and CEO of the nonprofit Hunger Free Oklahoma. As you can see, there's like a pattern here. Politicians are making decisions, and then people who are actually on the ground helping the poor, helping people in need, helping people who are trying to fight hunger, they are the ones that are complaining and pushing back because they see what's happening on the ground and are pushing back. So here's what Chris Bernard has to say. We are always in the bottom 10 in the country, that is Oklahoma, in terms of food security. Families and kids are struggling for sure, and the summer program was something we've supported for a long time. State's communication director stated that the U.S. Department of Agriculture hasn't yet finalized the summer program's rules before asking the states to sign up for it. Oklahoma already has multiple programs to serve food insecure children across the state, including SNAP, Oklahoma State Department, well, SNAP is a federal program, including SNAP benefits, Oklahoma State Department of Education Summer Food Program, and the Regional Food Bank. See, here's the thing. They are rejecting federal money, but are citing a federal program like SNAP as another reason why they are rejecting the new federal money. They are citing regional food banks, which are private organizations that are helping close the gap that the government cannot fill. So this is all bizarre. But I'm here to report it to you so that you can make a decision for yourself. So, who are the states that have opted in? As I mentioned, some states have said no. However, the federal government has approved 44 states and territories to run the program. And here is the thing. All the states that have rejected the program this year are allowed to apply next year if they change their mind. It's kind of like the Medicaid expansion, which when it started, a lot of states said no, and then slowly they started, changing their minds and going for it. So, as of now, 44 states and territories have opted into the program. Let's see the list here of the states that have been approved. Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Utah, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. Those are the states that have been approved this year to run the program. As you can see, there are territories in there. American Samoa, there are some tribal lands in there. Puerto Rico is part of the list. The U.S. Virgin Islands. So these are the states that have been approved. So let's talk about eligibility. How does your child qualify for this? Well, there are several ways to qualify for the program, and here are they. Well, number one, the summer program is intended to reduce food insecurity for those who have access to free and reduced price meals through the National School Lunch Program and the School Breakfast Program during the summer months. So children who are certified as directly eligible for the summer 2024 program during the summer will be issued their full benefits. So here are the 4 categories of children that are eligible. Those that are approved and participating in the National School Lunch Program or the School Breakfast Program. Those who attend a National School Lunch Program or School Breakfast Program participating Special Provision School, which is otherwise called SEP or Provision 2 or 3. Those who attend a National School Lunch Program, School Breakfast Program, participating in school and are certified as eligible through the summer EBT application. And then if you are determined to be directly eligible, automatically eligible by participating in SNAP, TANF, and Medicaid. Now, if your household participated in SNAP, which is food stamps, you will automatically be eligible for summer EBT benefits. In addition, most states will also automatically certify children as eligible who live in household participating in the following programs: the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, which is TANF or cash assistance, Food Distribution Program on Indian Reservations, and Medicaid in some states. So who is not eligible for this program? Well, there are 2 groups of children who will not be able to receive benefits. The first one is children who attend schools that participate in the National School Lunch Program but are not income eligible for free or reduced price meals, or children who cannot be directly certified and do not attend a school participating in the National School Lunch Program. Those are the 2 groups of children that are not eligible. So, what do you think of the summer EBT program? Is this something that is going to help you? How is that going to change how you feed your children during the summer? Were you part of the previous PEBT program, and are you looking forward to this program? It's $120 per child, and each child will get one. So if you have 3 kids, that's about $360 for the entire summer. So I want to hear from you. And this is the bonus thing I want to cover today. There's a new law that has passed that will help 65,000 Texans to qualify for food stamps and SNAP benefit cuts in Louisiana. So Texas has recently passed House Bill 1287, changing the eligibility requirements for food stamps by increasing the limit on the value of vehicles that household may own. Here's the background. If you apply for food stamps, some states have asset limits, resources limit. It means that you cannot have resources up to that amount or you'll be denied benefits. Some states have vehicle limits. It means the value of your automobile or your vehicle cannot be above that limit. Now, the limit that has been provided has been the same in some states forever, which kicked a lot of people off food stamps. So Texas has revised that limit, and the new limit is set as $22,500 for your primary car and $8,700 for additional cars, up from the previous $4,650 limit established in 1973. That is how far the limit was set and has stayed there, which means that if you have a car that is valued for more than $4,650, you couldn't get benefits, which was crazy because that pretty much puts people into beat up cars to get food stamps. So there's been a push to really change this, and I'm glad Texas has done something about it. The primary vehicle limits was updated in 2001 to $15,000. The change aims to accommodate the increased value of used cars and ensure that families with modest vehicles can still qualify for food assistance. So if you know somebody in Texas who was in this situation, let them know they can reapply, which means that more Texans will qualify. Feeding Texas, the largest hunger relief organization in the state, suggests the adjustment, emphasizing the necessity of reliable transportation for work, school, and medical appointments. The previous limits led to denials for food stamps for some individuals, with the number increasing due to the rising cost of used cars. In fiscal year 2022, 65,000 households were denied SNAP simply because they exceeded the vehicle limits. This change will help Texans, thousands of Texans, including families with young children and elderly facing hunger, get the help they need, especially the elderly. This is going to be a big deal for them. And then Louisiana, there are cuts in food stamps. More than 130,000 Louisiana households are set to experience an average reduction of $27 in monthly SNAP benefits attributed to cost of living adjustments. This decrease affects families receiving SNAP, Family Independence Temporary Assistance Program, and Kinship Care Subsidy Program. The reduction is a consequence of the 3.2% increase in Social Security benefits, survivor and disability insurance, and supplementary security income, and some Veterans Administration benefits in 2024. The annual cost of living is calculated by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics on the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. So while some benefits programs saw increases, less than 0.85% of the FinTAP or KCSC households will experience reduction. For Social Security recipients, monthly benefits are expected to rise by $50, impacting eligibility for some other programs. Additionally, around 938 SNAP cases will be closed due to income exceeding the eligibility limit. So that is all I have for you. If you like what you heard, please hit the like button, because then it means that this video will be shown to more people. If you are new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button, because we appreciate your support in helping us grow this channel. So until I see you in the next video, thank you for watching.